Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss the 2026 Dodge Charger Scat Pack 6-pack 4-door. Yeah, that's a mouthful, but this past weekend on Sunday I was at church with my wife and I actually drove my Dodge Charger Daytona. And as we were getting out, I was locking the door and I noticed that somebody else drove a Charger. I could see the rear end of it a couple of spots down. So when I came out of church, I noticed the car was still there. So I walked down to actually look at it and I noticed, hey, it's a 4-door. Then I noticed, hey, it's got exhaust on the back, so it's an actual, internal combustion car. So when I started walking around it, I realized, hey, this is a Scat Pack model, and I'll tell you why I found out it was a Scat Pack model, because there's no badging on the car whatsoever. But there's a couple things about this car that really stood out to me. So right now, Dodge is really trying to push, this car. It's been kind of delayed, but what they're trying to do is make sure that everything is ready to go and everything is perfect when they launch this car compared to how they launched the Dodge Charger Daytona. So I've seen tons of these cars out testing. I've seen tons of coupes, especially. I've seen a few 4-doors, but the very interesting thing about why I like this car and why I'm talking about it is, yeah, we've seen the, pictures of this car. There's nothing big, but this is the first non-plus car that I've actually seen in a 4-door HO package. That being said, when Dodge released at Roadkill Nights the pricing of these cars, they basically said, hey, if you buy the 2-door HO coupe, so the Scat Pack coupe, that car is going to cost you $54,995. The 4-door is a $2,000 option. So when you look at the actual pricing for the base entry-level Scat Pack, it's $56,995, not including destination. Now, what makes it interesting is this car has no options on it. This is that base car. This doesn't have the track pack. This doesn't have the carbon and suede package. It doesn't have the glass roof in it. It is basically as base as you can get. So when you pay that $56,995 plus destination, this is the car that you're going to be getting. So this is why I wanted to highlight this vehicle, because a lot of people see the all dressed up RT with all the options and think like, oh man, that's a great deal for that car. But I wanted to show you what you're truly getting. Now again, this is a test car. It's beat up. I will say that whoever had this car put it through its paces. The wheels are scratched up. It's got some scuffs in the paint. It's got some pieces of the grille that are missing, but I wanted to show you what all comes on the entry-level Scat Pack 6-pack car. So, if we go down to the front, the very first thing you're going to notice is I actually like the front of the 6-pack cars way better. It looks more aggressive. The Dodge Charger Daytona is very sleek, very simple. It has that really cool R-wing that everybody seems to like. However, this car just looks more in your face because the bottom part of the front fascia is totally different. It has to have more air because it has an internal combustion engine up front, but it has to cool that inline six somehow. So they actually put a mail slot grille on there, just like the outgoing Chargers had on the SRT models. But again, you have a bigger grille underneath, you have an actual functional grille across the front, no R-wing, and you have this massive power dome hood. And this angle really doesn't do it justice because the power dome hood actually is very aggressive looking. But if you can see on the bottom corners, now you can tell this is a test car because if you look at the bottom parts of the grille, the actual corner pieces of the plastic are missing. I don't know what they were doing there. I know there's active grille shutters. Maybe they were trying to adjust them and stuff. But you could, again, when you see these pictures, this car is far from being a show car. It's beat up, and you can tell that they're putting it through its paces. But anyways, looking at the hood, again, that power dome hood, it actually sits up really tall in the car. And the reason why is that inline six, that 3-liter inline six, that Hurricane motor sticks out so far because it's so long that they had to put this massive power dome hood on it because if not, that engine would be sticking through the hood. So the cool thing is on the hood, we've seen this in pictures and stuff before, but in person it looks a lot better, is this 6-pack kind of like heat extractor. And if you look at the actual design, the tooling of around where it says 6-pack is actually the same design that's in the grille in the front of the car. So again, Dodge is really good about making things look very ornate and kind of tooling, around different things with their, vents and stuff. And if you look, it's not an Easter egg, but it kind of hints at, hey, look at the front of the car because everything kind of matches. Now, if we look at the side profile of the car, well, actually, if we go to the wheels, let's go to the wheels first. The wheels these are the standard wheels. These are the 20 by 10s that you'll get. Now, these are the same wheel designs that you get on the RT Daytona. That's the blacktop package. So these are 20 by 10s. These are wrapped with 275 Goodyear Eagle Sport tires. and they're all seasons. But anyways, 275s, and again, this isn't a track pack car, but the one thing I could tell that, again, with no badging on, that this is a Scat Pack was if you look at the front calipers, there's 6-piston Brembos. It doesn't say Brembos on it because obviously this is a test car. They didn't do all the ornate stuff. But again, they are Brembo brakes. You can tell there's 6 pistons right off the bat. 4 pistons would be a lot smaller than these. So if you get the Scat Pack model, you get standard 6-piston Brembos up front, 4 pistons in the back. Now, compared to the Dodge Charger Daytona, the Daytona actually gets better brakes because it has Brembo 6 pistons all the way around. But you got to remember that car weighs almost 6,000 pounds, plus the actual braking systems used to regen as well. So, but you can see even these wheels are pretty scuffed up and dirty, tons of brake dust on them. You can tell that they've been scratched a few times, but that's Dodge engineers putting it through its paces. If we look at the side profile, okay, the one thing I absolutely love about the Charger 4-door is it looks complete. Now, having a 2-door model, it's a sharp-looking car. I love my 2-door. But the thing is the proportions, because it has the same wheelbase as the actual 4-door, the doors are overly lengthened. And what I mean that is, compared to the outgoing Charger, the outgoing Challenger, that Challenger had a 116-inch wheelbase. And now the new Charger has a 121-inch wheelbase, so over 5 inches longer. But the problem is when you have a 2-door, you want to make it look proportionate, so they made the actual doors longer. And what happens is, for a tall guy like me, who's 6'1", when you park close to people, it's hard to get in that car. So I really like the 4-door because it has the shorter doors. And again, it just looks more finished because you have that back door on there and it just looks more complete. Which is funny because back in 2006, everybody was complaining that it was, a 4-door car, not a 2-door. And now in the forums and stuff, we've seen that a lot of people are complaining that the 2-door option is the only one available and people want the 4-door. So again, 4-door is coming. You can see from the Power Dome hood, it's kind of hard to see with triple nickel, but you can see how high that actual hood design sits up off the car, and it just looks muscular in person. Now, triple nickel is one of the worst colors, especially like in this kind of layout, because you can kind of see because of the shade. You can see some of the body lines, but it hides a lot of the lines because you see a lot of the shadows. I'll tell you what, in black or after dark, or even white knuckle, the car looks killer in its body lines as a 4-door. I've seen tons of them out on the road, and they just look absolutely stunning. And if you were going to buy one of these 4-door cars, I suggest look at those 3 colors if you really want to see the body lines really good to those cars. The other thing is because this car is multi-energy, okay, the actual charge port door on the Daytona is the gas door for the normal Charger. So again, it looks very much like the Daytona. Every panel is shared except for the hood and the front fascia and the very bottom of the rear fascia. Everything can be matched up. So again, it's a multi-energy car. So when you look at the Daytona, it doesn't look like an EV. It looks like the traditional car that we're going to be getting here pretty quick. So it's kind of cool that way. I like that. A lot of people like the Dodge Charger Daytona EV because it does look like the gas-powered cars. And I like the fact that both kind of share the same kind of styling. If you look at the back of the car, now again, this is what I seen right off the bat. Another reason why I can tell it's a Scat Pack is that spoiler. Now, the spoiler, it's kind of funny, back a few months ago, earlier this year, Dodge actually showed off a Dodge Charger Daytona RT 4-door at Springfest out in California. Now, on that car, it actually had a rear spoiler. However, if you look at any of the new kind of 2026 Dodge Charger pictures, there's only a few of them that show the RT because the RT is going to be such a late model. But the 4-door one does not have a spoiler on it. So that being said, only the Scat Pack models will have the spoiler. So again, that's one of the reasons why I know this is the HO car. And because it doesn't have the carbon and suede package, like I said before, the exhaust tips are chromed. So they kind of go good with the machined look, in my opinion, because I'm not a huge person that's all into the all blacked out look. On the rear fascia, what you'll also notice is that it actually just says Charger instead of Daytona. So again, everything on the back is pretty much identical to the Daytona. It's just that rear bottom part of the fascia is changed out so it can integrate the exhaust tips. Now, another thing is you can see really good on this photo the actual like classic Coke bottle shapes. And I will tell you that the interior of this car, because it's a stripped out car, it still gets the bigger in like the instrument cluster. It does have the 10.25-inch Uconnect system. But as for seats and that, the seats are the same ones that are in the Daytona RT. So because it's like it doesn't have that one-piece high back bucket seats like what my car has, this has adjustable headrest. They're basically clothette and leather seats. So they're very simple. But again, this is what you're buying at that $56,995 price tag. And if you do include the extra $1,995 or another $2,000 for the actual destination, the starting price of this car is $58,990. Now keep that in mind, $58,990 for a four-door Scat Pack. So again, I wanted to show you what this car was going to look like. Hopefully you guys get an idea of what the entry car looks like. Again, you get a lot of stuff for the money, but again, it's a hefty price to pay, especially if you're looking at getting the performance version of, the actual Scat Pack in a four-door. So leave your comments below. Tell me what you think of this car. How do you think about the styling and stuff like that? Tell me what you're most excited for. Are you most excited for a two-door or a four-door Scat Pack internal combustion engine car? I know a lot of people want the Hemi. Hopefully in another year or so we'll get a Hemi or whatnot. But for now, Dodge is really putting focus on these Scat Pack cars. And again, this car won't roll out until sometime in the first half of 2026. We don't have an official date. They move it back and back and back for time after time. But we do know it's going to be in the first half of 2026. So leave your comments below, and I'll see you later. Bye.